Welcome back to Even Tacos Fall Apart, a podcast about mental health, resilience, and finding hope in the midst of adversity. I'm your host, MommaFoxFire, and in today's episode, we'll be exploring the fascinating world of epigenetics and a women-specific approach to healing with our guest, Stephanie Serone. Epigenetics is the study of how our environment, lifestyle, and experiences can influence the expression of our genes. It's a rapidly evolving field that has profound implications for our understanding of health and disease. But what does that have to do with mental health and healing, particularly for women? In this episode, we'll discuss how epigenetics can shape our response to stress and trauma, and how a women-specific approach to healing can help us address the unique challenges that women face. We'll also hear from Stephanie how epigenetics and a women-specific approach to healing help provide new avenues of hope and healing for her personally. So whether you're interested in the science of epigenetics or looking for new insights into women's mental health, I hope this episode will provide information and inspiration. Sit back, relax, and let's explore the fascinating world of epigenetics and women-specific healing, because even tacos fall apart, and the right approach can help you pick up the pieces. It should all be the right way now.
Yes, awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. As usual, I'm having some technical difficulties. That is nothing new here. Heard transmission, heard you now. Now I think I hear guest. Thank you, Bite Mark, for that. Check. Absolutely. Welcome back to another Mental Health Monday. Thank you all so much for being here today. You might have noticed at the beginning, we do have the cat cam back. So he's right here, and we have an actual camera for him that you'll be able to see, not on this screen, but on the next scene whenever we do a game later. But I am super excited for this Mental Health Monday today. We have a very special guest with Stephanie Serone. We're going to be talking about epigenetics and a women-specific approach to healing. And I think this is going to be a wonderful conversation. So if you have questions as we're going, we do have a question queue open. You can type !Q, follow it with your question, and that'll put it straight into the chat, and we'll make sure to discuss it while we're here together. So a little bit about Stephanie. Stephanie is a licensed transformologist and I'm going to start that over. Stephanie is a licensed transformologist, an authority in empowering women and facilitating the world's only female-specific transformation process based on the science of epigenetics to resolve chronic emotional issues and intergenerational trauma to create inspiring, instant, and irreversible change. She specializes in helping women who have endured bullying or who criticize themselves ditch the negative self-talk so they can uncover the confident, happy version of themselves under the rubble of self-doubt. So if y'all are interested in connecting with Stephanie, I've got some socials for you in here. So TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and then one that just has more links. So if you need more videos and more content from Stephanie, you can click on that one. So Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us tonight, taking the time out from across the world.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Thank you so much for having me and making the time for me to be able to share this with you and talking about all things mental health, which is just so important.
Absolutely. Yep. That's why I do what I do, is because it is really important. And the more we talk about it, the more people are going to be open to talking about it. And that's kind of the goal, is to just get people talking about what the issues are and what's bothering them so they can work on themselves, right? So I'm excited to talk about that with you today.
Likewise.
Yeah. So first of all, Stephanie is in Australia and it's 11:30 there in the morning?
Yep.
Okay. So you see the light behind her and everything. I'm always tickled by time zones. I hate them, and at the same time, it's fun to me.
Yeah, it's like I'm in the future.
Yeah, you are. Oh, yeah. It's also the 21st there. I forgot about that. Yeah. That's awesome.
So it's so Stephanie, cool that you're able to connect in different time zones.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't do this without technology, right? As much as I hate technology and as much as I have technical difficulties pretty much every stream, it enables us to do this at all. So that's great.
It's worth it.
Yep. Can you tell us a little more about your experiences and what made you become interested in helping other women heal?
Yeah, sure. I came from a family that was sort of broken quite early in my childhood. Dad left. We were sort of 4 young kids with mum, moved to a new place. And I think in that sort of transition of feeling sort of like abandoned by my father, and then being in a whole new place, in a new school, new town, I quickly realized that I didn't fit in.
Mm.
And I was a bit of a tomboy and things like that. And I just felt like I really needed people to like me. And I think it was sort of that fear of abandonment was like, you're safe with people, you know, you need to be accepted and liked, and you need to have people like you. And so I just sort of created this sense of feeling in myself that I needed to do everything it took to have people like me. And I was just this sort of chameleon or shapeshifter, if you will, just doing what I thought people wanted me to do, saying what I thought people wanted me to say, wearing what I thought people wanted me to wear, like just being like basically whatever they would accept. And obviously that's hard because everyone likes different
Yeah.
things, right? So I was just constantly changing that around who I was with and things. And so I experienced bullying in school. Then I also experienced a narcissistic relationship where I was treated really horribly for a few years. And that sort of just depleted my self-worth and confidence even more. And then workplace bullying as well. And you know, I put so much pressure on myself to be perfect, because if I was perfect, then there'd be less that people could pick on, as
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I had really high expectations of myself, and just found myself really burnt out, really, really anxious, really depressed, and just this sense of pressure, and just feeling like I wasn't doing it, I wasn't doing enough, I wasn't good enough, I was just failing. I just felt like I was failing life. I felt like I was failing my relationship, because I was
Mm.
finally in a good, healthy relationship. But all this baggage of the past and how I felt about myself and everything I've been through made me feel like I didn't deserve that. And I just got into a really, a place I couldn't get out of. And I tried psychology, counseling, you know, all the things, journaling, meditation, all the things. And I didn't realize that those things weren't actually designed for what I was looking for, and they weren't designed for women. And once I found what was, it actually got me out of all of that. And I actually had self-confidence, and I don't even know if I ever had it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it got me back, but I actually found who I really was. And that made me realize that other women deserve that too. And I really would love to aid in helping other women that feel any of those things to not feel that anymore as well. And that was sort of where my passion sparked after feeling free about myself.
Yeah. So really kind of driven by your personal experience, first of all, growing up, and then as an adult, and leading to your own healing, and then wanting to help others. I love that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
What is your favorite thing about working in this field that you do, and what are some of the biggest challenges that you face?
So my favorite thing would have to be how quickly people change. Just like there's this common theme out there that, like, you know, progress takes time, and you've got to constantly work at it. You've got to almost earn the right to be happy. You know, you've got to do all
Mm-hmm.
these things every day, and and for women who aren't consistent naturally, we start to feel like we're failing in that. And so to have a process that isn't designed that way, that we get out of it so quickly that we don't have to then earn the ability to be happy, we just
Mm-hmm.
are. It's amazing, because you just blow people's minds, and they look at who they were before. You know, I take videos of where they were at, and, you know, you show them a month later and they're like, oh my gosh, like that was me.
Yeah.
Um, that is so cool, because nothing really normally happens that quickly, right? We're just
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, this is going to be a long process. It's going to be ongoing. But women deserve to, they've already gone through all the hard stuff long term. They deserve to get out of it and actually live happily, live in a way that they feel confident and they're enjoying their life for once. So that's probably my favorite part. And then challenges are mainly is sort of not convincing women that, but helping them understand that it's okay to put themselves first,
Mm.
to do something for them, to really giving them permission to go, you know, there's a point in your life where you really deserve to look at you and what you need. and you deserve to be happy.
Yeah. That can be a hard thing to get someone to realize too. Is just like, yeah, you do deserve this, you know?
Yeah, and like women are so naturally caring and nurturing and want the best for others. We can so easily, give and give and give to others, but then when it's turned around on us, we're like, oh no, no, no.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's very true. So switching
Yeah.
gears a little bit to one of our audience favorite questions. Do you have a favorite serial killer or true crime story that fascinates you?
I was actually thinking on this one, and the thing that came to my mind that fascinates me the most is the whole making a murderer
Mm,
thing.
yeah.
And I think too, it's for many other reasons. I think it's, the perceptions people have on others, the quick judgments that we can make, and also the complete other end of the spectrum to corruption and things like that as well. There's so much there's so much in there around society and how people view others and what actually happens and what's right and what's wrong, and that it interests me a lot because it's a lot of that is all tied up into that story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fascinating one. I mean, not only because like there's very much a clear corruption, and the story just from the very beginning is like they're out to get him, but then in the end, like someone did something to this woman. And
Yeah.
I'm not convinced we have the real answer. And so to me, like the part about that is I wish her family had real concrete answers. And I feel like they don't. And that's so unfortunate. But yeah, the corruption and all of that, all of the politics of everything, all of that is really fascinating. That's such a good documentary too. If y'all haven't watched that on Netflix, it is so good. They did that so well, really, truly.
Yeah, they really did. And I think that's the thing, when we can get so caught up in stories and trying to make something look like something else, it's like something very serious happened.
Yeah.
And yet if we're trying to paint a picture of something else, the real answers aren't getting out there for the real people that are really hurting.
Yep.
And that is the hardest part of that. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if Bite Mark is still here, but her favorite question is, what is your favorite poem?
I don't actually have a favorite poem. I'm not a big poem person. So
Listen,
I
happen to know
an answer.
she accepts songs as well. So what's your favorite song?
At the moment, it's that I think it's like You Can Be Both. I don't know if it's called that, but that's what they sing about. And it's like, being able to be all of you, not just like, the woman or whatever, but you can also be like the tomboy and stuff. And I think like for me, that really reflects how I grew up and it reflects women in general. Like you can be so kind and nurturing, but you can be a badass. You can be so powerful and it doesn't have to be one or the other. We can be successful, but we can also be really loving, and it doesn't nothing takes away from the other. We can be all of those things.
Yeah. So you said that, and I'm probably thinking of a completely different song because I'm on like the dark side of TikTok, which there's been a song on there that is talking about like I can be your girlfriend, I can be your boyfriend kind of thing. So
well, yeah, true.
So if you think of the band or anything, let me know for sure.
Yeah. Honestly, I've only heard it like on the radio and stuff, and I'm so bad with singers and stuff and celebrities. Those things don't stick in my head. I couldn't tell you, but I'm like, if the lyrics came on, I'd be able to sing.
Yeah. Yes. I'm the same way. Well, okay. So first of all, I sing all the time. Like it drives my kids crazy. At least my youngest, he pretends to be offended about me singing songs, but it's like everything triggers some sort of song. But I can't always tell you the song that I am singing at the moment, the name of the song, the rest of the lyrics, who sings the song. Don't know. Don't know, doesn't matter.
In the moment now, this is what's happening. This is what I'm singing about.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I don't even know how to say this name in chat. I'm just going to call you GZ. I see your question. I want to get kind of to a definition level of some things, and then I'm going to go straight into your question. So stick around. I haven't missed your message. I will just want to let you know I'm going to get to it in just a second for sure. So switching to the topic at hand, epigenetics is the study of how your behaviors and how your own environment can cause changes that affect how your own genes work. And there's something that is reversible, changeable over the course of time in different ways. So how do you use epigenetics to create an approach that is women specific?
Yeah. So I didn't create the approach, but that approach is creatrix, and that's the method that I use with women.
Okay.
However, it was designed with epigenetics in mind, and so epigenetics helps us in a way to see patterns. We can see generational scarring, we can see where patterns are playing out, and we can then work with that, because basically, if we just treated a person like that they were the only person in their gene pool that they were the start of everything, then it would make sense that all their problems were in that one human experience that they've had in their life. However, we know that in seeing how patterns are playing out in other generations, we know that something that our mum has gone through can now trigger our genes to express themselves in the same way as that's happening again now. There can be so many different examples of it, but as an example, say the witches, when they, in Europe, when they were being hunted for just being normal women, just tending to their families and being healers, like finding things that fix things and things like that. It was a point, like really got to the point where if you stood out, you died. And so witnessing that, we pick up patterns that are supposed to keep us safe, which are in that situation, don't stand out, don't stand up for yourself, don't rock the boat, follow the rules, be a good member of society. Those things play out now in like really small ways in people, and they don't know where those fears are coming from. And they don't normally even start with us. It's a pattern that we're feeling, and a lot of the time we know because we're like, why am I so anxious about this? Or why am I so angry about this? I feel like I'm overreacting. Because we're actually reacting to something else. It's just triggering that, and it feels like we're 100 out of 10 to where we should be. And somebody else can be going through the same thing, and they're like, "Oh, you're making a really big deal out. This isn't a big deal." But for us, it is, because raveled up inside of us is years and years of trauma and stuff that our families have gone through, and everybody else's have gone through different things. We're all unique in what we've got going on inside of us. But being able to break those patterns and change them means that it no longer then moves forward. So we're not hurting others with the way that we're being triggered, but we're also, when we're having future generations, we're not passing those things onto them either, which is really cool. Like literally it can run in the family, but it can end with you.
Yeah. That's really, I mean, it's the nature versus nurture. It's like, yes, you have this nature from intergenerational trauma, generally speaking, and other things that happened before you were even born. But then the nurture part of it is that, yeah, you could be the last. You could be the last one to pass down that key in your DNA, which is great. I think that's wonderful. And you can turn it off for your kids too, right? I mean, that's something that if you stop acting on it, then it can help your kids stop. If you have kids, stop acting on it also. So
yeah, it's that ripple, and those kids don't deserve, like, there needs to be someone that goes, okay, enough.
Yeah, enough's enough. Yes, absolutely. So GZ's question is, does any part of Stephanie's treatment for mental health involve spirituality or meditation, or is it only medicinal? Great question. Thank you.
Oh, great question. It's I find it, the best way for me to describe it is it's it's right between like scientific and spiritual. So the woman heals herself. It all comes from her. It's not medicinal, nothing like that. It is very holistic. It's sort of basically recreating a real life wake up call where we just realize this stuff. We're just like, oh my gosh, yes. And your perspective changes, your beliefs change, your values change, but it's all shifted within. And so that is for some people, quite spiritual, because you're connecting back to who you are. It's not just one area of ourselves either. It's our head, heart, and our gut aligning, so we can hear our intuition. We know that this is the things we need to do. This is for us. This isn't for us. And because when we've got so many fears and doubts and insecurities, sometimes that we can feel like we need to listen to that, and we can get mixed up whether it's our intuition, our gut telling us go do this, or then the fear coming in going, no, you can't do that. Don't be silly. It aligns all of that. So yeah, I feel like it's getting you back to your original design, who you were supposed to be, without all those things shaping you and making you feel less than, or you can't do this, or that you need to be worried about that, or whatever that might be, because those are resolved. So I think it's one of the most spiritual things you can do for yourself, because your spirit is in there. She's just covered up by a lot of layers of self-doubt and stress and fear and all those things that come into it in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what you said, this is the creatrix system. What is
Yes.
what is that?
So it's a creatrix method. So it is just a female specific method, the only one in the world that's just designed for us, and it just really speaks to the way women think, feel, believe, works with our bodies. So obviously we're not consistent. We've got all of our hormones going on. We can also create life in the engine room of us. Like, we don't think about how we're going to make a baby's brain. Our body knows. I know I'm making brain cells today. I'm making ear cells today. It can do all that. So we've got a much deeper level of consciousness as women. So we're working with the woman as a whole, everything that she needs. And like I said, basically it just recreates a real life wake up call where we just go to a filterless state. The woman taps into her internal wisdom, and when you're in that state, it's just beautiful because it actually flows properly, and it actually embeds into the area that we need it to, way in the back in our instinctual brain, where those fears and things automatically come from. When we're in a situation, we're not thinking, I should be scared now. The fear comes, and then we're like, oh my gosh. It's an automatic thing that happens. So we're changing that automatic pattern so it's not happening. Those situations that trigger us won't trigger the same feelings. Because a lot of the time things are worked on reframing or catching ourselves. We're thinking this thought, I've got to look at it, I've got to fix it, like I've got to say something different to flip it around, to make it a positive thing and to unbelieve it and then move on. But the problem is we've got so many going on in the background that we can't catch them all. We have around 60,000 thoughts a day. So we're only conscious of 5% of those.
Yeah.
So we got to get the background stuff fixed. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. You have to get the background stuff fixed, because it is important. Because if you can do as much positive self-talk consciously as you want, and eventually, sure, that could turn into subconscious or unconscious positive self-talk, but at the same time, that's harder to change sometimes.
It's exhausting. Like, if you're trying to catch everything you're doing, you're not going to be able to just like live your life. Like, our minds try to make things easier for us. So it gets in a pattern, and then it deals with all those thoughts that it thinks we want to keep thinking. And then we get on with our day, being able to have conversations and drive to the shops and all of those things. If we were worried about or able to think about everything that's running on autopilot, we wouldn't be able to function in our day-to-day life. But yeah, it's being aware of those and knowing that they're there and how they're creating all the things that we're actually feeling, so that we can sort it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So GZ has another question. Is her service covered by health insurance, or is that an out-of-network or elective treatment? So I'm guessing, first of all, just like blanket statement, we're not diagnosing or anything like that here today. Like we are not, not, I am not a professional. Stephanie is a transformologist. So, but that does kind of lead to another question: is what you do equivalent to life coaching? Is it mental health services? Would it be covered by someone's insurance? That's a great question.
Is a great question. No, at the moment, Creatrix is classed as personal development. So
Okay.
not mental health, personal development.
Mm-hmm.
But in saying that, it's our emotional health. So mental health itself, like you say, we're not diagnosing anyone. There's also obviously avenues with psychologists, psychiatrists, medication, and none of that is anything that I give advice on to change to
Absolutely.
anything. Everyone obviously has their own routes and their own things with their own medical practitioners. In saying that, if you're finding that those things, either with those things you're still struggling, or there's something else that you're thinking this isn't the right fit for me and the solutions I'm looking for, or that the solutions you're trying to say, psychology and everything like that, are actually designed for the way men think. So when you go back in history, they were all designed by men for men's brains, and they just believed that a woman's brain was the same but smaller, that we were basically men but without testicles.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that worked for them worked for us. However, when you find that you're constantly, say, talking about your problems, and you're finding you're anchoring yourself in that, and you're finding yourself feeling all those things again and again and again, week after week after week, and you don't feel like you're getting out of it, a lot of the time that means you're in that 4 out of 5 women that actually feel like that's actually not working for them. As most of us, it doesn't, unfortunately, get us to where we want. Nothing wrong with the tool. It's just not designed for the job we're wanting it to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, to kind of underline that, like, do you encourage any hormone testing or anything like that as a side? Like, go have this done somewhere else and then we can talk about it? Or is this strictly just kind of you and me? We're going to talk through this together and come up with this kind of life coaching, personal development kind of thing.
Yeah, so I create a program specifically for women. It's not, this is hormones, this is that.
Yeah.
I work on our emotional health because a lot of the time, I do teach around hormones and the times of the month where it's better for us to do certain things and what we need to look out for, what's normal, what's not. But a lot of the time, a lot of the issues that we're experiencing, even gut health and things, when our system is full of stress, even if you're putting the most amazing foods and things into your body, they're in a state of basically being in a toxic environment. It's just stress is toxic for us long term. So it's really changing the state of us to be able to feel like we are content and calm and feeling capable first. And then a lot of the time what that does is level out everything else. Like, there's so many women that come to me saying, I can't sleep, I've got really bad stomach issues, I'm so irritable, I feel like my moods are up and down constantly, I'm always like narking, I'm always nagging, I'm always like nipping and picking on my partner. And it's because we're so emotionally charged and we're so heightened. Our emotions are so chronic that we're just living in this heightened state.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just got to reset that baseline so that our level is back to a normal state. So we're not just living in, it's almost like an amplifier on like a guitar or something, where you've just turned it right up and you just almost like you just can't relax. Sort of getting it back to that point where everything else then reaches a healthy level and your body can go, oh, I can relax now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it changes. Stress just changes so much health-wise. It's incredible.
Yeah. So you brought up something interesting to me is the like studies of brains and kind of the neuroscience and everything of it. I know that there have been plenty of studies where they, on the back end of the research, they said, hey, let's compare men and women and see how their brains are different. And the most recent neuroscience studies, which have been done in the 2020s, so just the last few years, have showed that the differences in male and female brains that have previously been leaned on, like thickness of the cerebral cortex and all of the, like saying, oh, men think about things this way and women think about things this way, and empathy and spatial processing and all of that, may be more closely related to specific populations, like a group from China or a group from the UK or something like that. So instead of men versus women. So the implication is kind of that most of the perceived differences that we have are more related to gender and social constructs or expectations than biological sex. So I have a couple of questions. Does this approach that you're talking about, we're going to get into in more detail in just a little bit, but does it work for people like postmenopausal women who don't have those same hormone cycles, or even trans women? And is it as effective for them?
So the simplest way to look at it is if you were born with a uterus, it will work for you.
Okay.
So it's the literal biological design as a woman, the way we think, feel, process emotions, the way that we're able to create life inside of us, the way that we process things, and the way that we feel as women. So that speaks to our biology. The process speaks to that. So basically way back in the back of our brains, our mind, our bodies process metaphor, and it's basically like visualization, storytelling. Women's minds, it makes so much sense. If you do that with, you say male, I'm just referring to testicles, testicles or uterus. If someone was born with testes, that approach, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. But if we do it with someone that was born with a uterus, it doesn't matter how we identify. But if we were born with a uterus, it will speak to our female design, and our minds and bodies go, sweet, I know exactly what's going on here. I can sort this out. Let's reset it. If not, it's not going to work. But in saying that, there's processes out there that are designed for that too. So psychology, NLP, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy actually works incredibly well for the way that men's minds work and the way that they think. More of, this is a problem, this is a solution, this is a way to look at that. I can move on and I can implement that and change it. Women, a bit more messier. Not so simple.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's interesting because what I'm saying is the most recent studies debunk a lot of what you're saying. like that, yeah. A lot of the recent neuroscience studies that have been published by women and men alike, so it's not just men studying men again, they talk about that thinking, the way we process the stories versus everything, that is how that is, again, going back to that nature versus nurture piece. So I just wonder if there's, and I don't know that you're the one to solve this or anything, but if the creators of Creatrix have done any of their own, studies and everything on, okay, what about a population who is maybe a matriarchal society where the men are raised by women with that same reasoning and processing and everything that women are so good at traditionally, societally.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of that's been done, because I really think that there could be a wider application if what you're talking about is the way that, you're describing. And I'm like I said, I don't know that you're the one to answer that question, but it's just interesting to me. I really think that it probably comes back to kind of that nature versus nurture. But obviously, the creator of Creatrix would have to answer that. So
yeah, and the thing that she's basically really studied over many years is just specifically, why are these things not working for women? why they're sticking for men, but the women are coming back. But yeah, it's interesting that could be a whole nother level of insight and a whole nother level of things that could possibly absolutely come into play, because you know the way we are brought up and the things that we go through, and our lives process and experiences are absolutely massive.
Hmm.
But I do just know that the process itself, the way that it's designed at the moment, is actually only works for the way women are designed. Like
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
just doesn't work for men. But yeah, it's a great question. It's a great thought, like
Yeah.
to even to delve into.
Yeah. I get distracted. I go off on tangents. It's kind of part of what I do. So
No, it's good. It's great to be like that. That shows a really open mind to things. And
hmm.
at the end of the day, it's really wanting to find more solutions,
Right. Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. So, what kinds of problems or issues is this approach designed to address? We talked kind of about the intergenerational patterns. We talked a little bit about like negative self-talk. But what is it designed to address?
It's chronic emotional issues. So
Oh.
you think of, so say a healthy emotion is designed to, like a wave, something happens, say someone cuts you off in traffic, like pissed off, like a 10 out of 10. And then, you get to the shops and you start your shopping, and you sort of forget about it. But it makes sense in the moment. That's sort of a healthy emotion. But a chronic emotion is one that sort of, it sticks with us, right? Like, or we're finding we're constantly pissed off at little things, and it doesn't really make sense. And it's festering there, it's staying there, it's not moving past us. It's sort of really affecting us. It's
Hmm.
affecting our day to day life. So anything that's sort of sticking around that isn't really relative to the situation is the things that I work on. So it doesn't really matter what those things are. Most women have 30 to 40 of those things that we end up working with. So it's not like it's just one thing, but most women can pinpoint one thing that seems to pop up with them a lot. And then from there we uncover the rest. But a lot of the time it can be, I just feel anxious all the time, or
Hmm.
I overthink, or like I can't stop thinking. I'm replaying things that happen in the past. I'm worrying about what's happening in the future. So yeah, things that pull us out of being present, being in the moment, being able to enjoy our life, feel capable, confident, hear the person in front of us instead of hearing, just being stuck in our own heads. So, yeah, things that pull us away from being present and enjoying our lives, really. It's the crux of it.
And that's a wide application.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, chronic, not acute. So,
Yeah.
say someone's just passed away and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got so much grief. Of course, of course we've got so much grief. But if you're still stuck in grief 2-3 years later, because that person was just your everything, and you're so broken without them, that's where you want to heal the pain so you can keep the beautiful memories, but it's not absolutely soul crushing.
Hmm.
That's the sort of stuff we work on.
Yeah, that's great. Can you share some of the key differences in your approach versus more traditional approaches to healing those kinds of issues?
Yeah, sure. I did list a couple because I wanted to make sure that I covered some. So we have the head, heart, and gut. So we work with all of them. We align it all. So we're not like doing mental gymnastics. Like, I want to do this, but I don't, I fear that, and not knowing if it's our intuition, getting that really strong alignment. Whereas a lot of approaches only work with one, just
Hmm.
like working on our thoughts or our feelings or whatever. And it's just not complete enough to really change it long term. We've also got the specific gender, obviously, like we were talking about, is just designed for us uniquely, and it speaks to what we need as women, to go around our overthinking minds and self sabotaging the way we do those sorts of things. And really speaking to what we need to change. It's also one's own. So it's not someone sitting there telling you that these are the things that are wrong with you. This is what you need to do. It's you fixing yourself, because we all have the ability inside of us to resolve what we need to resolve. We just need someone to help us get there. I don't fix anyone, but I facilitate women to fix themselves. So
Mhm.
it's all coming from within that person. And so many people say to me, but I don't know, I don't have it, I won't be able to do it, or what, that's not inside of me. I'm different, but you're not, like, inside what you need. I just help you get to the place where you can access it. And
Mhm.
I think that's really important. No one person can fix one other person. It has to be us. It has to be us. I find that's super important. Changing the patterns, so not just what's gone on in our life, but actually breaking that cycle completely. And then the biggest one for me is the client safety. So making sure that we aren't going back into trauma. To heal trauma, to heal emotional pain, we don't go back into it. I don't believe that we need to re-suffer,
Mhm.
especially a lot of the stuff that women go through. Like, they do not deserve to go through that again. To heal, we don't need to go back. So this heals really traumatic stuff without going back through it, which is, at the end of the day, that's the safest thing. We're very disassociated from it in the healing journey, but we heal the things we need so that all of that pain doesn't continue to affect us in the future.
Yeah, so you're kind of not addressing a specific event. You're addressing the patterns behind either a reaction to that event or something that led up to that event, or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, so basically we're getting the new perspective, but in a disassociated way, so that you're not just going back into a story trying to change it. The way that you see it and feel about it changes.
Yeah.
And the way you see and feel about it is the important thing. So we work on that, not the actual event.
Hmm. Okay. So GC has another question. They said, are treatments and consultations done over Zoom calls or in-office visits only? And did your business model change during COVID?
Great question. I love your questions. Thank you so much for engaging with us. So all over Zoom, I work with women all over the world. The initial consults, basically are what we call emotional health checks, where I can just check and see, whether your emotions are needing to be resolved, and especially if this is the right thing, because there's so many different things out there for people, and this isn't always the right thing at the right time for the right person. But if I identify that these are the things that are going on, and you are at that right stage where you're like, yes, I just want to resolve this. I've talked about it, I've analyzed it, I've tried this or that, and I haven't moved past it. I want to, then that's perfect. And yeah, I do my the program online as well. It's all over Zoom. It's basically about a month that I work with each client, and then they're free and done. But that month is, and I say it's a lazy way, but it's almost like you just go, boom, we're doing this, get in, do it together, work really well as a team, and then you don't have to keep working on yourself. You're
Mhm.
done, which I love, because I'm innately lazy too.
And then were you doing this before COVID? Was this your job before COVID as
Oh,
well?
sorry. Yeah, rest of the question. I started it during COVID, actually.
Okay.
So, I was training. Basically, I was traveling. So I was when I did my program myself. When I was getting out of all of this, I was in really stressful workplace and all that. And then when I got free of it, and I was just free of this societal expectations and judgment. I didn't care what other people thought, which was huge for me. I was just like, let's just go. So me and my husband packed up our stuff, traveled around Australia. We rented our house out, and we ended up on the other side of Australia. And that's when all COVID hit. And we basically got locked down over there, knew no one, like away from everything up in the Pilbara. And yeah, so that's when I started. I was like, what do I want to do? And then I started thinking, yeah, this would be really cool. This is a perfect time to train. Like, there's nothing else I can do. We can't keep traveling. And I started training during the very first lockdowns of COVID.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there are more people than we realize who did something similar, where they were like, either they lost their job because of COVID, or they saw it as kind of that opportunity to jump up and say, actually, this is what I want to be doing, and I'm going to do it. And I know, listen, I'm in the US. I know that's not as easy here as it is some other places, because healthcare is tied to your job most of the time.
Yeah,
So,
that's horrible that you guys have to deal with that.
listen,
I couldn't even imagine that.
our healthcare system is trash.
Yeah.
It is just, there's not a better word for it. It's complete
And so
and
much
total
more stress
bullshit.
would come with it too.
It really does. Yes, absolutely. It comes with a lot of stress. And, it does. Last episode, we were talking about what you can do as a side hustle and all of that. And one of the terms that my previous guest used were the golden handcuffs. And it's like, yeah, you're handcuffed to your job because that is what controls your benefits, like health insurance. And so you can get health insurance on the marketplace here in the US, but it's wildly expensive. So
and so you need a job anyway to pay those amounts of money for the healthcare.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, I get off topic a lot. So
when you're not, like, when you've got medical things going on, you're already stressed. So you don't want to be stressed about, am I covered, or like, how much is this going to cost? I don't know how you guys do that. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah, so great example for anyone watching or listening who is not in the US and is curious about how shitty our healthcare system is. For a diabetic to get insulin for a month, it can be over $1,300 a month for something that they need to live. Like, that's insane. And so if you don't have health insurance to cover part of that cost, then you have to pay out of pocket for something that you need to live. Like, it's bonkers.
And then what if you can't work, or like you lose your job or something like that, and you're like, you've got the stress like of, how do I survive, like literally survive in this world without something that I truly desperately need? It's just not right.
Well, and compound that with, all right, keep that cost in your mind of it can cost over $1,300 for insulin for a month for a diabetic. And then the fact that I think it's something like more than 50% of Americans couldn't handle an unexpected $400 cost. So if you lose your job and you don't have savings and you're diabetic and all of a sudden you don't have health insurance and you can't even afford $400, how are you going to afford $1,300? Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Don't live here. Don't live here.
You're really convincing me.
I've told my kids, like, y'all turn 18, go somewhere else. I'll follow you later.
Australia's good. Yeah, it's good. Medicare. Yeah,
absolutely.
At least you don't have to worry about that. Like, diabetics, I think you still have to pay, but I'm pretty sure that insulin might even be on the PBS now, which means like it's most of it's even covered. But you don't. Thankfully, you don't have to worry about that stuff. But everyone's got a completely different, like, unique set of things that they have to battle with, don't they?
Yep, absolutely. Time for a vacation to Canada. That's right. That is right. Go to Canada, get your drugs. It's cheaper to get on a flight. Well, it's cheaper. All of their drugs, because what the U.S. lacks is a regulating body to set or control or limit the prices of medications.
Oh,
and so because every other wealthy, developed country has a regulating body to set those prices and limit people on how much they can profit, because that's what they're doing, is they're just profiting. It's just cheaper to go and buy it over the counter in Canada. It's cheaper to pay for a
Wow.
flight or drive and pay for gas, to get a hotel to stay and buy the medication combined
Have a
than it
holiday,
is.
buy
Yes.
medication.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's cheaper to go on vacation in Canada than it is to get medication without health insurance in the
Oh
US. It's
my
crazy.
gosh.
It's
Do you have
absolutely crazy.
protests about this? Like, this is just
I
blowing my
haven't seen any
mind. And
protests
it was
about this. I
bad.
protest it.
I'm protesting here in my house.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's nuts. Anyway, we're not here to talk about health insurance.
I feel you. I'm feeling for you guys, though.
I know.
Really, honestly.
So getting us back on topic, for those of us, because I am one of them, who self-criticize or engage in that negative self-talk, are there any quick exercises you can share today that have helped your clients in the moment whenever they are experiencing that negative self-talk?
Yeah, sure. So I work to get clients out of that, so they're not actually experiencing it. That doesn't come. You've just got positive self-talk in the background, which is just incredible. But for in the moment stuff, if you're just out and about, or even if you're getting worried about something that you've got coming up, say you've got a surgery or something like that. What happens to women? So women we live in a state of focus. We've got different ganglion cells in our eyes to men. So we actually see things differently. Men actually have a more peripheral. They can see more in their peripherals. However, women are more focused. So when we're thinking about something we're worried about, that becomes it's like we can't think about anything else. Same thing, if we've got negative thoughts and things, they're really highlighted. They take up a lot of space in our mind. So what happens then is we become hyper focused. So we want to get to a state of peripheral like men are naturally, but we don't naturally go into that state. That's where calm lives. So you think peripheral, think calm. That's where we want to be. So there's a really great exercise that you can do anywhere. You start with your hands, but you can get to a point where you don't need them, so you don't look like a weirdo in a waiting room. uh, you can just pick a point on a wall and just look at that point, but then with your hands, move them further out just to the very point where your peripherals are actually like
Goes
just on. You
out.
can just see them as
Yeah.
far as you can. So I can't see them, can.
Yep.
But keeping your eyes on the point that you've got in front of you. That puts you into a state of peripheral where all of your logical thinking can come back. You can be in the moment. So if you can do that as often as you need to, it'll pull you back. It'll snap you out of it, and get your body moving. Like it gets. So when we're in a state of stress, all of our blood rushes to our extremities. Like it's like run. And all of our digestion and everything's not happening properly. Our logical mind's not thinking properly. So it gets us back to be able to be in that state. So it's a little good exercise to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, I like that. Listen, I'll look like a weirdo. I don't care.
Spirit fingers.
That's right. It does not matter to me. Yeah,
It's good for kids too.
Bite Mark says, I love simple exercises, and that's true. It's just like something quick and easy that's easy to remember, and then also that's easy to do, that you don't have to have like, okay, where's my pen? Where's my paper? Where's my list of things that I'm supposed to be, reframing as and all of that. It's like, no matter where you are, you have, we had a recent guest talk about tapping, and it's like, no matter where you are, you can do that.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. You ultimately want to get to a point where you don't need the tools. You don't want to have them, but it's good to have them if you need it, or you're a point where, you can't you can't do that next level of healing, but you want to feel like you've got some sort of something to help yourself, where you're not just so, I don't know what's the word. I can't think. It's not coming to me, but you're not a victim to the feelings or the or the emotions and things that are coming up, and they're sort of get to a point where they're controlling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GZ says, I usually go for a pint of Haagen-Dazs and watch Game of Thrones to relieve stress. Okay, I don't always have ice cream with me, though. I don't always have an HBO subscription either. But I feel you.
Emergency ice cream bucket on hand constantly.
I'm going to carry one of those little coolers around.
Yeah.
My grandpa used to have them all the time. He'd put his lunch in them, and it's the one with like the slide top. Keep some ice cream in there.
Yeah, good. That could be a product. Emergency, like Game of Thrones, or like ice cream and chill. Like, just hold on, I just need to sit down wherever I'm at, eat my ice cream, and binge on my favorite show.
You need a cooler for the ice cream to keep it cold all day. That's got to be a good feature. So, like, Yeti needs to get on this, right?
Oh,
and then that cooler needs to have a little phone stand. Yep. So you open up the cooler, like, you take out your ice cream,
like a solar thing, so it doesn't go flat,
and it can charge your phone. Listen, we're on to something now.
We just need a catchy name, like Craving Caddy or Emotional
Craving
Toolbox.
Caddy. Oh my God, I love that. That's fabulous. That is great. So all right. So I'm trying to get like my head around how all of this works. Like, you've got it's the Creatrix system, and you're licensed through Creatrix, right?
Yeah, so the method is called Creatrix, and I'm licensed through the Institute of Women International.
Okay.
So they do the training, the licensing, the auditing, the membership, making sure that you've got the access to the things that you need, and ongoing support to help your clients. But then also at the same time, ongoing support for myself. So if I find that I'm heading up against anything new in my life emotionally, and it's affecting how I can help my clients or affecting my day to day, I use that myself to get out of my own way, so that I can be the best I can for my clients. Because it's not about me. If something that they're going through is triggering me, or I'm going through something in my life that I haven't been able to get past myself, something new that's happened, having that there to know that I can move through that and continue on helping other women is just invaluable, to have, especially through that COVID time and stuff for me. Like, I think it was a very big level of stress for humanity in general. So that was just incredible to have the not only the business support with my clients, knowing that I've got them there if I need to have any insight on what a client might need specifically, but also anything I needed myself, emotionally as well, which was very handy at that point.
Yeah, that's great. It's good that they're there on a constant basis for you as well, just through that licensing bit. Is there a general, like, how much does this cost? You say it like takes a month to do. Is there a general cost? Is it personalized based on each person's needs, or does Creatrix set that price?
Yeah, it is personalized. So the women that are accredited and licensed or their own business, they just use that tool. But working with each individual woman is very specific. So it's sort of like a dentist. Like, you could say, I need a filling or I've got a sore tooth, but until I can actually look and see what's going on, I can't create a plan. I don't know what's actually going on for you. So it's sort of like with me looking and going, okay, what is going on in there? What's going on for you? What would you need? Me being able to figure out what they need, if what I can do for them is what they need, and then setting a program for them to cover all of that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, when I do come up with that price for each specific woman, it is a set price, so it's not a session by session price. So I will say, for your particular outcome, this is what we'd be looking at, and this is the amount of sessions I foresee including that. If it's less, it's the same amount of money. If it's more, it's the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're looking at, and your outcome is what my goal is. So
it's a price for the outcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I also
really cool.
guarantee my outcome. So
that's great.
I won't tell someone I can help them unless I know absolutely I can get them there.
Yeah.
So I guarantee my results. So it's basically them going, okay, like, this is what I want to do, and this is worth it to me. And yeah, if they need a few more sessions than somebody else, that's totally fine. We just keep going until their outcome is reached.
Yeah. Do you have like a general price range for how much this kind of thing costs?
It's something that is really got to be spoken about one-on-one.
Gotcha.
Because it's specific. Yeah.
Yep, that's fine. Are there some common things that women should be aware of when it comes to protecting their mental health and well-being on a general, ongoing, just everyday life basis?
I wonder if I did write down something. Yeah. So being around the right people is just so freaking important. A lot of the time we don't realize we're not around nice people, or they're sucking our energy, or like we just feel so negative when we're around them. Making sure you're around the right people, that they're respecting you, supporting you, like how you feel when you leave them, is super duper important. And yeah, choosing, like I said earlier, like, women find it really hard, but putting ourselves and our needs first, because if we're constantly worrying about what other people need and like catering to others and trying to be everything for everybody, then we're at the back of that, and we really don't give ourselves what we need and prioritize ourselves, and that's when we can start to burn out and have more things that really are bringing us down. And if we don't listen to the stress, our bodies start with bringing us things like pain and health issues, because we're still pushing, we're still going, we're still giving to others. So making sure that we're giving to ourselves is super duper crucial. And then putting in boundaries as well with others, I think, is another one that a lot of women find hard, saying no, or saying what they need. If people aren't respecting you and what you need, feel free to not spend as much time with them. Like, your time and presence is valuable, and you don't need to be putting that in if you're not respected, and people are just expecting things from you. You are worthy and you are valuable, even if you don't feel it, and you don't. Not everyone just deserves that level of kindness and respect and love if they're not giving that to you.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about that before, just like you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to fill up your own gas tank before you fill up someone else's gas tank. Like, all of the different ways you can say that, it is so important, not only as women, but like parents or any sort of caregiver. Honestly, that's something that's so easy to just keep pouring out of yourself instead of making sure that you are taking care of yourself and recharging and doing what you need to do to get a little bit of downtime, a little bit of sanity back.
Yes. You pour from the overflow, not your cup. You need to make sure you're overflowing and that shit remains full.
Yep.
And you pour from the overflow. You give from the overflow, and it's not selfish. Like, I think, or even that people think that being selfish is a negative thing. And I used to as well. But you need to be able to actually be a good help to others. Is also the people that love you, they want you to be happy. The people that care about you, they want you looking after yourself. They want you being your best self and really loving life too. It's the people, if you're worried about losing people, it's people that probably shouldn't be in your life anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. If they don't need to be here, they can pack their bags and leave. Absolutely.
Exactly. If all they're there for is you to do things for them, like, I get it, kids need you to do things for them, but other people,
that's different. That's that's different. You have obligations there.
Yeah, they're your children.
Yes. Also, if they're little assholes, like, look at your own parenting. You know, my kids are wonderful. I have raised them to be wonderful. So
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I love what you said about being selfish is not necessarily a negative thing. I think that's hard for some people to wrap their heads around, because being selfish, we talk about self-care is not selfish, but even if it is on the realm of selfish, it's okay that it is. That's not necessarily something that's bad. It has some negative connotations in a general application of our language, but you can be a little bit selfish and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. That's really, really important. And I like that you put that in there.
Yes, it's sort of like we've got this message somehow, and it's that you need to just be giving to others, show up for others, be filling others' needs. You're of value when you're of service. Don't put yourself first. It's not about you. We've got this message in so many different ways in our life that it's like there's never a point where it's okay, and it's completely backwards. It is okay. You know, we are born as ourselves. We all have our own needs as our own self, different wants, different dreams, and we are at the essence, our world does revolve around us because we are our universe. Like, we are us. Like, there's nobody else that is us. So if nobody else is going to put us first, like, we have to be that person. And it is not a bad thing. And it's a really good thing seeing people knowing who they are, knowing what they want, and doing those things. And then that does, like you say, it ripples out. That goes out to others. Like, when we are our best selves, we are helping humanity. We are happier people. We are adding to society. People are getting the best of us. They're feeling better when they leave us. We have more capacity for them. Like, being selfish is a good thing. It really is. It really, really is. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's like, being selfish is not bad. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just if you can take anything away from this.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and if you're not willing to be what you personally consider to be selfish, then maybe just try to be a little less selfless, you know?
Yes.
Like, just pull back a little bit from being so selfless in your week and see how that goes for you.
Yeah, go, okay, how much am I giving to others? How much am I giving to me? I can just pop this up a little bit more. Yeah. Little bit more.
Just take a tiny little bit off that side of the scale and put it on the other side. See how it goes.
See how it feels,
Is there anything you do now in terms of self-care or other exercises or activities to take care of yourself?
So really, the main thing is if I ever hit up any full-on emotional walls and blocks, that I use the Creatrix method for myself. I don't stay stuck. I don't feel like I deserve to just waddle through it. I know I can move through it immediately, so I will. And then day-to-day life, the main thing for me is, because I've finally taken this pressure off myself and this perfectionist stuff, is making sure and choosing every day to prioritize joy, to prioritize fun, to prioritize happiness and the things that make me feel that way. You know, there's all the things, you know, that you're told to do, but at the end of the day, the more that we can connect with the things we absolutely love, the things that make us smile and laugh, they're the things that are really the things that we should be trying to fill our life with most. And that, I find, you know, is the most important thing that I do. I'm constantly, is this bringing me joy, or is this something I have to just feel like I have to do? And do I actually? Or am I feeling like I'm expecting myself to do it, or whatever that is? It's like, is this fun? Because as an adult, we can get so serious and we lose the first thing to lose is the fun. We get the responsibility and stuff. Kids get to have fun. No, we still get to have fun.
Yeah, we need fun. Adults need fun too.
Yeah.
Well, we have reached the magic moment. I'm going to see. I have a magic wand here. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So let's see if it's working today. Yay. Okay, good. All right, so this is my magic wand. If you could wave this magic wand and eliminate one common opinion, misconception, or theory surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health, what would it be?
That we need to know why we are the way we are to fix ourselves. We don't need to know why. Like, if we stopped looking for why am I the way I am, we could get more into how do I fix it and how do I move on. Like, we don't need to keep overanalyzing why we are the way we are. It doesn't always bring us the solution we're looking for.
Yeah. I think that's great. If we could all do that, we would all be in a better place. Mentally. Mentally, at least. I'm still in the U.S.
But mentally, you can be anywhere.
Mentally, I'm coming to Australia.
You're always welcome here.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we're going to wrap up here. So, chat, if there's anything else y'all want to ask, make sure to just pop it in there. We'll ask our guest here. And then, Stephanie, while we're waiting on anybody to provide any additional input, I'm just going to open the floor to you and see if there's anything you want to talk about or throw out there as far as resources or recommendations or anything else we didn't cover.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun. There's a couple of things I did want to mention if anyone's needing those resources. So there's a little pocketbook. It's called I'm Not Okay, WTF Do I Do Now? Stands for Worth the Fight. It's really good for anyone that is struggling with sort of in the moment stuff. And you can give it to people that you know are having a hard time. It's great for men, women, kids over sort of 12 years old. It helps you take your power back a little bit, gives you some inspiration to really just get your life back on track. Know that you've got the power within to do that you are worth fighting for, and that your life is important. I have some on hand all the time, and I give them to people that I know that are struggling. I've even had some close family members, men, sort of struggling with sort of suicidal thoughts and things, and it has saved a lot of men's lives actually since its creation. It's good to have on hand. So if you've got anyone in your life that's sort of struggling like that one's really, really great. And then there's also a book called The Creatrix Method. And it's more stories of women that have experienced the method itself, just their personal situations where they were and where they are after. It's really inspirational with a lot of personalized stories, and you end up finding going, oh my gosh, that's me. So it's really inspiring as well. They're probably, two resources that, depending on where you're at and what you sort of need and the people around you, that are really helpful.
I love that. Looks like both of them are by Marilyn Shermer.
Yes, so she created the method. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I just posted links on Goodreads to both of those. So if you're interested, click through, buy them wherever the hell you want to buy them from. But there's links to them in Goodreads, so you know you're looking for the right book.
You're so quick. That was so fast.
I try to be like a super fast stealth typer over here, but I think sometimes my mic picks it up. That's okay.
You're succeeding. You're just all over it.
Well, good. Bite Mark says, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I had fun and have more reading to do. Also, we need to get on this emotional support cooler idea. Yes, absolutely.
Emotional support cooler. Yes, that is the name.
Trademark that shit right now.
I can absolutely see it. Be a little spot for snacks, a little spot for like a drink too, like building with one of those, like maybe a straw or something, a pretty hat.
Yes, perfect. It's perfect.
Oh, I love it. Thanks for hanging out.
Stephanie, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time. And chat, give me just a minute. I'll disconnect with Stephanie offline, and then I'll be back playing a game. So I don't think I've set up the cat cam on the Be Right Back screen yet. So you might not see the cat for just a minute, but he'll be back in a second. So thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me. I had a great time.
Absolutely. All right, guys, be right back. I hope you enjoyed diving into the world of epigenetics and exploring the transformative power of a women-specific healing approach with us today. Understanding how our experiences and the environment we grow up in can impact our physical and mental health is critical, and developing targeted interventions and therapies can lead to remarkable healing and positive change. But remember that healing is not a one-size-fits-all process. It's a journey that requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to try new approaches. I hope today's episode provided valuable insights and sparked some thought-provoking questions. If you have any comments or feedback, I would love to hear from you, so feel free to share your thoughts and experiences with me on social media or through our website, tacosfallapart.org. And if you found this episode helpful, please consider leaving a review or rating it on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us reach more people. Until next time, remember that even when tacos fall apart, there's always hope for a better tomorrow. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery, and I look forward to having you back next week for another exciting episode.